Welcome to Weaving My Wheel, Gate 60, Acceptance, the Gate of Limitation. The acceptance of limitation is the first step in transcendence. I have experienced my perceived restrictions and limitations and my perceived edges. I have felt solidity in objects I have met, and I have kept moving forward, my world beckoning me in anticipation. Where I once classified my perceived limitation as my punishment, I now feel my limitation blossoming beautifully into my great opportunity as I remain present. My presence, my pulse in form, disappearing and appearing, moving out and back into my view, gently lures me into my next gift. My changing rhythm teaches me to honor my pace of being, much like creation's heartbeat. What I once fought, I now acknowledge and embrace. I once perceived my limitation as my enemy and my end. I now appreciate my silent teacher, my new threshold, my beautiful newness waiting to emerge. Line 1, acceptance. At first, I pushed. I saw limitation as failure, as something I must break through to become more. I learned my limitation is far from being my failure. Instead, I know my true form emerges from my love and acceptance of my truth. I now see my limitation calls me forth into my very essence of life. I realize now some borders are constructed as barriers hindering my expansion, and some borders create secure and beneficial containers, giving shape to my sacred. My gift is knowing what hinders me and what protects me. What I once resisted, I now accept. I accept my invitation and engage in my world in new ways to build my new foundation. I surrender, I accept, and in my acceptance, I find my way forward. Line 2, decisiveness. My perceived limitation speaks to me in inspiring pulses. I learn when to act immediately and when to wait for my perfect moment. Hesitation as I face limitation can create angst. In truth, my limitation is my perfect pathway to birth my true nature. I know I require my full diligence, focus, and discernment as my perfect moment emerges. I require purposefully choosing, making my deliberate choice to move forward and through my perceived restrictions. I have two options. I can remain vigilant in my limitation or adapt and grow. My choice is mine alone. Once I make my choice with certainty, obstacles I previously created resolve, and my path magically appears. I see my available options and I find my clarity. Line 3, conservatism. I test my structure. I experiment. I discover some boundaries stand firm, others yield. Through my process of adventure and discovery, I gain my wisdom. In my past, I dismissed my traditions as optional and confining, and now I carefully reconsider and search for what I may have missed before. I learn what I choose to keep becomes my compass. I discover what to let go of as outdated tradition and what I truly require. My remaining boundaries exist to support me and hold my wisdom. I am my own resilient experimenter. I pursue, I adapt, I discover, and I refine. I honor what I establish, and I find my greatest strength. Line 4, resourcefulness. My perceived limitation offers me creative opportunities. Where I may once have seen my restrictions, I now see my structural framework for my inner growth. I offer myself and witness my flexibility in my experiences. Some people see limitation as rigid and enslaving. I know I can view my limitations as fixed and defining, or as adaptable and my ever-evolving forward movement. Whatever my choice in my current moment, I know I am always and in all ways fully supported. My awareness of my self-imposed limitation is my gift to myself. I can practically and easily turn my perceived lack into my visible abundance. And I know all is available for me and enough for me. In my relationships and my systems, I rebuild my internal structure through my subtle shifts. Within my powerful externalization, I network within my favorite framework and create my new opportunities. In my past, I found forcefully tearing down borders can create chaos, effectively creating more walls and strongholds. I realize my true freedom soars as I navigate my secure path, respecting my healthy boundaries. Line 5, leadership. I find my way through my limitation and I guide others towards new pathways of possibility. Where I may have used judgment in my past to force and coerce others, now I invite, inspire, and gently offer new pathways of grace-filled transformation. Sometimes I receive powerful negative projections from deeply rooted patterns in others, and still I stand strong in my abiding responsibility. I show my own path through my presence over my persuasion. I invite change through my clear vision. Others follow me because I model my promise and my direction. I lead in my perfect timing, my perfect integrity, and my unique pulse. I stand at my cliff's edge of fear and impossibility, and I allow my forward path to become visible in my full faith, for me and for all who follow me. I lead and I walk forward first to show my perceived limits are truly my stepping stones to revealing more of my divine design. Line 6, rigidity. I have experienced both my extremes, my rigidity choking my growth and chaos abandoning all form. I have seen startling results when I keep my limitation too close and when I liberate myself too far. I have learned to role model my path from limitation to liberation. My true mastery is in knowing when to let go and when to hold steady. My rules can become my prisons. My boundaries can become my barriers. And I ask myself, do I uphold my self-prescribed limitation or do I transcend? My answer is not in my structure. My answer is in how I engage my limitation. Acceptance is my true answer. I carry my objectivity. I embody my balance. My limitation becomes my mastery when I engage consciously. Limits arise continually and consistently, asking for my wise response. My limitations are not something to battle. Instead, I embrace, I breathe, and I learn. I allow my limitations to pave my new path. My new form's origin holds seeds of my new beginning, and I watch closely for signs of new opportunities. My limitation is my foundation and springboard for my transformation. I have come from my inner truth, where my mystery asks me to surrender, where I seek what is hidden, where I learn to sit in my stillness and trust my answers arrive when I am ready. Now I stand at my threshold of limitation, where my stillness is more than my lesson. My stillness is my reality. Here I learn to honor my container, my structure, my inner pulse, reshaping my limitation into something unique, brand new. Ahead, I see my contraction, where my inward pressure births my imagination, and what I strip away makes room for my new self. I am my essence of all my creation. My question remains, will I fight against my limitation, or will I allow acceptance to be my gateway into my greater self? My answer awaits as my journey continues. Thank you for journeying with me as we weave this wheel together, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care until then, and go gently.